What's up? I'm Tyler.
And I'm Dakota.
And this is the Bourbon and Business Podcast,
where we interview successful businessmen and women to let you in on why success doesn't have a single formula to follow.
We also have a little bourbon tasting along the way because why not?
Why not?
So guys, please enjoy this episode and let us know your thoughts at Bourbon and Business Podcast on Instagram.
Coming to you from the Bourbon and Business Studio here at the AC Hotel in Ridgeland, Mississippi. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Dakota.
And this is the Bourbon and Business Podcast. How you doing this afternoon, Dakota?
Great, Tyler. How are you?
Doing phenomenal.
Did you get a haircut?
Yeah, since the last episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Fantastic.
So got a 2-minute haircut before we hopped on this one. So
Got your ears lowered a little bit?
a little bit.
I mean, how long does it take to cut your hair? It can't take that long.
It's usually about a 30-minute ordeal. They wash my hair. And all
Okay.
that.
Okay. You get the
You know.
you got the special. That's like $100 haircut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Okay.
So, well, you want to introduce our guest to us?
I do. A man who has probably seen many $100 haircuts. This is Paul Fisher, founder and CEO at Radiant Mobile. Paul, welcome.
Boys, it's such a pleasure to be here, you guys. Such a pleasure.
We're excited to have you.
Glad to have you. And then what are we sipping on, Dakota?
We're sipping on Handy and Schiller signature cocktails. I honestly don't know if we've had this before. We may have, now that I'm looking at the bottle. It's an old fashioned though. Triple oaked.
So I like old fashions, and this is good.
I once watched Tyler order 4 at one event.
You can't listen to anything he says. So, anyways,
It was not.
it's so. Anyways, this old fashioned, it's good. I think a lot of people will like it. It is a little sweet though, so that's the only knock I'm gonna give to it. I like it. I don't like it as sweet. It's almost like you got a sugar cube sitting in your drink. So if you like something sweet, you're really gonna like this one. For me, I'm gonna land it probably a 7.0. So
Okay.
I mean, it's great. You know what we paid for this bottle?
It's like a $30 bottle.
So for $30, it's great. And if you don't want to go through the trouble of mixing your own old fashioned, go pick you up a bottle. And we want to also tell our listeners to go see our sponsors, Cheers Vineyard and Gluckstadt, and you can get a bottle of this.
Wow.
And Paul, we appreciate you coming on. We like to always start the episode. Just tell our listeners where you're from, give us your background, and then how you founded Radiant Mobile.
I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California. I went to college at UC Santa Barbara. And then I went on a journey for about 34 years. I was in the modeling industry, the fashion industry. And so if you name a supermodel, the chances are I was probably their agent at one moment in time, whether it's Naomi Campbell, Stephanie Seymour, Brooke Burke, Kimberly Simmons, the Hilton family, the Getty family, John Hanasu, Monica Bellucci, Carla Bruni, just about 150 stars that I was the personal agent for. I starred up until I went down this venture, which my agents weren't too happy with, but I hosted and starred in a big hit reality TV show over in Europe I did one in America too that's still on Amazon Prime called Remodeled, which won me a bunch of awards. But I starred in a TV show for the last, four seasons, for the last 4 or 5 years. It was a show called I Can Make You a Supermodel. I go into rehabs, homeless shelters. I find young people on the street, get them off of drugs, get them off of drinking. And then 4 or 5 weeks later, you see them walking for my clients, Versace, Prada, Gucci, Calvin Klein. So I spent the last, 30 years, 35 years, 34 years in the fashion industry. And then I decided to walk away from that world and open up something that I hold very, very dear to my heart, and which is Radiant Mobile. I've raised about $20 million to do this, and I'm building 5 mobile plans on the T-Mobile network in 5 different community-driven worlds in different spaces. The first one, which we just launched a couple days ago, called Radiant Mobile, which I'm so proud of. Which we're here to talk about today. And then in about 3 months from now, we're launching the Dome, which is for our Jewish brothers and sisters. Then we're launching Foodie Mobile on Thanksgiving, which is for all you foodies out there. Then we're launching In Mobile, which is a fashion and beauty mobile plan on the T-Mobile network. And the 5th one, we're still playing with different ideas of different communities that we want to service.
what's I guess your why behind it? So why did you say, "Hey, I want to get out of the fashion industry and then start a cellular carrier"?
A Christian cellular
Yeah,
carrier for our Christian
yeah,
community, for the kingdom. Well, it happened for a few different reasons. As I would, I reached at the highest level. I say very humbly, I reached the highest level that I could ever, anybody could probably reach as an agent. My life story currently is a 10-episode podcast on iHeart. Vanity Fair and the New York Times journalists got together and did a deep dive into my life, which is 10 episodes currently on iHeart. It's a big, huge hit over there for those folks. But towards the end of my career, I would look in the mirror and I wasn't really too happy with what I was involved with. You know, from the outside, it looked cool, representing the most famous models in the world, walking into restaurants with, supermodels, never having to pay for a meal. It seemed like really sexy and powerful and amazing. And a lot of people would think that that was a great thing to do. But, you know, I found my faith maybe 15, 18 years ago. And I just didn't really like what I saw in the mirror. I didn't like being a part of a business that over sexualized and objectified young women. I didn't like young people at the age of 17, 18 years old having entitlement issues. I didn't like the idea of young people, boys and girls, basing their existence on their physical trip versus what was inside of them. That kind of drove me a little bit crazy. And there was nothing that I could do to prevent it. I tried. I tried to be a good role model. I tried to teach them about faith. I tried to teach them about all kinds of different things. But when you start putting $10,000 a day into a young person's hands and they're
Mm.
surrounded by a bunch of people saying nice things to them, and many times not nice things. I mean, these young people have to live underneath a microscope. So 5 times a day, 25 times a week, 100 times a month, 1,200 times a year, they would have people judging critically their physical looks. And I'm a guy who's older, obviously, and if I had people 5 times a day, 25 times a week judging the way I looked, I don't know how I would deal with it. And especially having to deal with that at a very young age. And then I started walking into the backstage of fashion shows and I would see young 16, 17, 18-year-old kids just taking off their clothes like it was nothing, like it was nothing. And then, and then my sister passed away from cancer.
Mm.
And then I have two children. I have a 5-year-old and I have a 2-year-old little girl. I started late in my life. And then I started waking up in the middle of the night looking at my little girl, Kalea, and thinking to myself, what kind of world do I want her to grow up in?
Mm.
mhm,
And I get a little emotional because I walked away from my career. I called up my agent one day and said, I don't want to do that TV show anymore, you guys. I looked at my many, many supermodels, just Google me, put in Paul Fisher, supermodel agent, and I just walked away from everything. My wife looked at me like, how are we going to pay the bills? How are we going to do the mortgage? What are you doing? What are you talking about, man? I'm like, I can't do it anymore. So I was laying in bed. I know people think I'm crazy, but like God was talking to me. He was in
Mm.
my head. And then I wake up in the morning and I'd stare at the kids, sleeping like angels. And then I started studying. And I realized that today, right now, at this moment in time, 56, 57% of kids between the age of 11 and 13 years old are going to be looking at pornography. And 66% of those kids are going to stumble across it. Like, oops, like what? Like my little kid's going to stumble across pornography? Some dude in a dress is going to teach my kid about gender? Like,
mhm.
hey, and by the way, we've done 100 articles in 25 countries around the world, me and Chris, my COO. We've had more press done on us than any mobile plan ever in the history of the mobile plan business ever. People say like you're anti-gay, you're anti-trans, you're like who do you think you are? Censoring this and censoring that, and we're like, we're not anti anything. Anything anybody wants to do, man. Who am I to judge anybody? Like I don't care what you do. I'm from the fashion industry. I ain't anti-gay or anti trans, but we actually created technology, guys, to protect the trans and the gay community from hate speech. We're protecting them. At the same time, we believe that Christians and our Jewish brothers and sisters have every right to block them and block their content. And by the way, they have every right to block fantasy football if they want, for God's sakes. We just took a couple years and a couple $1,000,000 and we developed technology that's never been seen in the United States before. And I'm very proud of it. It has the ability to block content that we don't want to see, that we don't think that's right for us, or we don't think it's right for our children. It's kind of like if you have an alcohol drinking problem, why would you live across the street from a bar?
Mm.
We all got the demons inside of us. We all got the opponent, Satan, whatever. Each faith has a different consciousness behind that. We built technology to align with your faith. So
Yeah.
that's what we built, brothers.
Yeah. Well, that's, again, like we said on that last episode, that's such a refreshing thing to hear. We both have kids and, that is a big thing. Right now I have 11-year-old that's been pressing me about getting a phone, which we haven't gotten a phone for her because it does scare me. The things like you're talking about that she can stumble across on that phone or the things that she can get into. So having something that you're able to know that, hey, they're not going to get this content, that this stuff is not going to be served to them because like I said before, me and Dakota are both believers. We do believe the enemy is out there to go after our children. And, it's not by coincidence that they target kids.
No.
That is
Yes, sir.
all a ploy of the enemy.
Yes, sir.
And it is great to hear that there's something out there. And I also want
Something
our,
fighting back.
yeah, I also want our business owners to kind of pick up on something that you talked about because we get a lot of feedback from business owners that are burnout or something's going on that they're not happy with their career. And I think that all goes down to, what is your why for what
That's
you
right.
do?
That's
You
right.
know, if what you're doing does not line up with that, eventually you're going to hit a spot. And it's kind of like the writer of Ecclesiastes talks about, Solomon, the richest man there ever was, had more than anybody else in the world that you could think of from a worldly perspective. And what did he say at the end of it?
All vanity.
It's all vanity.
Yes, sir.
And so, I would encourage anybody, if you are a business owner out there, if you are looking for that why, start there. But at the end of the day, make sure what you're doing, you have a passion for it and that it is doing good. Because I
That's right.
think eventually, if it's not, you're going to hit that part of your life that says, "Hey, what have I done for the past 30 years?"
Is it worth your soul?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all nothing. So
Mm.
great.
No,
It's great to hear that. Talk to our listeners
Tyler,
about
I was about to get you a pulpit, dog. I didn't know what was going on here.
talk to our listeners because I think there are a lot of people out there that are experiencing in their career kind of where you got. What was it like for you to make that decision to say, "Hey, I'm leaving what I've built for years, and I'm going in a totally different direction"? What was that like for you?
I believe what I've been taught is that the true enemy is doubt. And that if you believe in something with every fiber of your being certainty, you can accomplish anything. And I am so a big proponent, brother, of what you just said, Tyler, of the why. You know, I used to tell my famous supermodels every day, like, you want to be on the cover of a Vogue magazine? I'll make it happen for you. You want a billboard in Times Square? I'll make that happen for you too. I got that kind of juice. But then if you want to do those things for the wrong reasons, I want to meet a rock star. I want to whatever, be famous, whatever. Then I believe the universe, God will take that away from you as fast as he gave it to you. But if you want to do those things because you want to use your platform to give back to your community, to do something great for your family, for the world, I believe that God will allow you to keep that thing for as long as you want. And I think it's all about the why. Everything's about the why. And I just it was hard, but at the same time, I'm a man of faith. And so, I knew that this is what my path was. I knew this is what God wanted me to do. And I knew that this is, you know, I teach my son every day. I said, there's, I don't want to get into the details, but there's 5 things that are really important, son. It's one of the most important things is you don't gotta like your career. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. You gotta wake up in the morning. You gotta love it. You gotta know that you're doing something special, important, godly, and that could be being a trash man. That could be anything of service to others. Anything, but you gotta love it. And I think that's the why. So was it hard? There was about 6 or 7 months in there where nobody would talk to us, couldn't raise any capital. My wife was looking at me going, "Are you sure?" Like, "Paul, are you sure?" And then I just wouldn't let doubt creep up into my head. I wouldn't allow it. I wouldn't let the opponents, Satan, Satan, whatever people want to call it nowadays, from scripture. I just wouldn't let doubt enter my mind. And I just knew that what I was doing was really important, Tyler, for your children, for my children, for Chris. Chris is a superstar. He's got 6 kids. But I knew, I don't know how he does it. I mean, like, it blows my mind every day. What a great man and great father that man is. But I just had to have certainty. I just had to believe, 100% believe, and don't let the doubt enter my mind. And then just wake up every day and push the rock, pedal to the metal.
I think so. Fear, greed, hate, those things are strong motivators in life, but they all fail at some point. You
Yes,
will,
sir.
eventually, you will be either so scared or so not scared that you don't care anymore. You
That's
will
right.
eventually run out of greed of money, and your greed will turn into something else. And you'll
That's
have greed of lust, greed of food, greed of anything else. And then that greed will probably turn into like a power hungriness where you just thrive off the hurt of others. And then hate will also be a strong motivator until you accomplish your vengeance goal, in at which case you will say, okay, I don't feel as good as I thought I would. And then you will hate something else.
right.
Passion, commitment, and purpose are the 3 things that I would say are the opposites of the fear, greed, and hate. And those things are going to provide that longevity for if you
1,000%.
want an actual mission, you know what I mean? It's probably a better encompassing word of this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I'm called to do. That's going to get you through those periods of those 6 to 7 months where nothing was happening. And you were saying, I don't know about this anymore, right? The doubt's trying to creep in. That mission, that purpose is what you come back to. And then you keep
That's
going
right.
and you keep pushing and then it pays off. And I will
That's right.
also say, if you read the Bible, you'll notice that many times when God puts something on somebody's heart to do, it ain't overnight. There's
No, sir.
long periods of time of he promised it. And then you got to remember that
Yeah.
promise.
Yes, sir.
Noah in
Yes,
the ark, David becoming king, um,
very
he
wise.
was chased for how long and was running for his life before he finally got to be king of Israel. And he had been promised it when he was a boy and
Yes,
then
sir.
had to fight and prove himself over and over and over again, going, God,
Yes.
when's my time? When's my time? That's what the Psalms is full of. And then he kept trusting. He would always come back to that mission and that purpose. That's what you
Yes.
got to do.
Wise words, brother.
Yeah.
Wise words.
Well, well, Paul, I'm curious to hear your take on it because we talked with Paul, and obviously, y'all have gotten, for the most part, I think you've gotten great feedback from, actual concerned parents that are like, hey, this is something that's needed. But obviously, in 2026, the time we live, there's always going to somebody's going to have an issue. Whatever you say, you could say the greatest thing ever. Somebody's going to have an issue with it. How are y'all able to, I guess, field those negative comments from people and deal with that? Especially on a startup like that y'all are getting started.
Well, first of all, I'll introduce you to my security guard that now has to live in front of my house.
Wow.
100 press articles, 27 countries around the world prior to launching. And there's a small group of people with a big old microphone. Small group of people, 1%, brother. And the things that were coming out of their mouth, the things that they were saying about me and Chris, you know, you know, and I got children, you know, I'll take a bullet for them. I don't care. So listen, right before this phone call, Chris and I were on the phone. I don't know if he told you, but these 2 parents, these 2 beautiful Latin people, amazing people. And they started telling us and crying how much we changed their lives. Man had a problem with pornography. She brought him back because, he found Jesus. And every day we hear a story like that, brother. Every day. I get pastors now calling me from all over the world. And they go, please, can we pray for you? Our congregation and our membership, we're here for you, Paul. Mind boggling.
Yeah.
And so, there's haters out there. There's people out there that want us to stop doing what we're doing. Ain't never going to happen, by the way. Don't understand what we're doing, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But it's an important project for us. It's our lives, me and Chris. And so, no matter how challenging it gets, and it gets challenging at times, there's some people saying some interesting things. But every day, man, somebody calls us from a different part of the world and says, God bless you.
Mm.
We know who you people are. And not us in a physical kind of a way, but we know who you are.
Yeah.
Mm.
What you're
We know
about.
who you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And they see it in our eyes. They see it in me and Chris's heart. And they know what we're doing is not for generational wealth, which it possibly could bring us. Sure, it's a business. But that's not why we wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning every day till 10 o'clock at night. That's not why. I was making great money before. I got houses. I got cars. I got all kinds of cool shit. Excuse my language. I'm sorry.
You're
But
good.
I don't want my son to remember me by that guy on TV.
Mm.
I want them to remember me because I say, come on in, Lanny. Listen to this great, great church leader, this great pastor. Pray with me and pray with me. Listen to them pray for our family. Listen. There's people all over the world that are protecting us with their prayers. And so now, and I'll close with this, when I was famous, Paul Fisher, you know, if I would have passed away then, maybe then 3 or 4 people would have been there at my funeral.
Mm.
And I made millions of dollars for people every year, not every in their lifetime, every year. Ain't nobody cared about Paul Fisher. If God forbid something happened to me tomorrow, I truly believe there'll be a lot of people sad. A lot of people that know that I'm fighting the fight. Chris and I are we're at the point of the spear, and we're fighting it because lust is a tough thing, man. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough. And we figured out a way to block it before it ever reaches the kids' phones. That was hard, man. And nobody likes, that's the wrong thing, but nobody's talking about our content. Our
Mm.
content's on another level. Chris's team is telling stories of Francis of Assisi and John the Baptist and Mary Bethany and Simon of Cyrene and the crucifixion. And we're telling stories, man. Every week we're bringing people closer to Christ in a firewall, you know? So I think what we're doing is important. And time will tell how important.
There's no doubt what you guys are doing is important, man. And I think Tyler and I both just want to encourage you guys to just continue to push through the hate that you get, push through the the tools that the enemy's trying to use to sow discouragement. Um, you guys are you two strong guys, and we love the content that you guys are putting out, that you're pushing through, and just like we said, man, the mission that you guys have
Thanks,
taken on
brother.
is one that Tyler said in the last episode has been needed for decades, and nobody has figured out a way to get this done, or if they have, they've been silenced in some way or gotten discouraged. So it's
Thanks,
just fantastic to see something that, like we said, is fighting back.
thanks,
Yep.
Dakota.
Yep. And I think, for all our listeners too, to hear this, knowing your purpose and what you're about, as a leader in general, a business owner, there's going to be a lot of hard times and hard decisions you have to make. And
Hard.
that's really what defines a good leader. Can I hold true to my values and what I believe in the storm? Or am I going to break during that and give in to whatever those things are? Because I think if you can hold firm to those things, that's when you look on the other side and say, man, that's a true leader there. That's a true business owner that I want to get behind, somebody that I know, regardless of what they come up against, they're going to hold true to those values. And I think so many times we've seen companies sell out those values for the sake of profit.
Mm-hmm.
And, knowing that, that,
Goes all
that
the
it's,
time.
there's going to be a harmful effect of that, particularly on our kids. I think it's just a refreshing thing to hear to know, hey, that our kids can get a device and it be safe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and obviously, like y'all both stated, this doesn't mean you don't have to be a parent anymore and parent your children. Yes,
Yeah.
of course, it's not 100% gonna, you know, raise your child, but
You still have to teach them about the dangers of
yes,
online.
but it still gives
Yep.
you some sort of safety net to say, hey, I know when my kids are getting on the internet, this stuff's not getting filtered through, which is
That's
a
right.
great thing.
That's right.
As we round home here, kind of talk to our listeners, say they're hearing this and they're like, yeah, this is a major problem, in our what we're trying to, resolve in our household. Our kids are about to get to the age where they're going to be on phones. How do they get online and sign up for a plan with y'all?
Well, right before I answer that question, we're coming out with something. We're coming out with all kinds of new technology all the time. We're starting to work with anti-sex trafficking companies, groups, major groups out there. So we're going to be senior secure. We're coming out with new features and new technology, protective and safety technology. That's like, and I'm not a tech guy. That's on another level, brother. And the content, what I want to talk about that is just to say is we have a thing called kitchen table talk. And what we're hoping that to answer your question very specifically is we hope that people look at our content and then sit around the table and talk. Just talk about what you're seeing. Understand the courage and the strength of Saint Sebastian, of Saint Patrick, of John the Baptist, and Francis of Assisi. Start to understand that yes, the technology is great and everything, but the stories of the apostles and the saints that have come before us. You want to talk about courage? Like, like, so what if we're getting attacked by certain communities right now? What these people went through before us to get us to this one time? Like, I ain't nothing. I was, when I was out walking my prayers about 8, 9 years ago, and I was mauled by two pit bulls, jumped up to the top of a car, got yanked down, so, there's things we go through in life. And I'm a pit bull. I kind of look at it like, but we've created something that I hope people sit around and talk with their children about and talk about the internet, talk about the strengths and the weaknesses and the dangers of it. Talk about the great people that come before us. Start talking. Get off those damn tablets. Get away from that stuff. Talk. Scripture's amazing, man. And so, yeah, people can go to www.radiantmobile.com. They can look at our website. They can go to the Apple store. They can sign up. They can test it out. And for you, Tyler, with my humble heart, brother, let me get you our plan for the next few months and, you know, use it. Have it for your daughter. Know that you're safe, brother. And we'll take care of you and we'll get it to you, brother. But I'll have Chris take care of that for you. But, people can go to the Apple store. People can go to our, radiantmobile.com. They can check us out and just kick the tires for a little bit, and just know that there is a way to be safe and protect online. And there wasn't a month ago. But right now, there's a way that you can hand your phone to your sibling or your son or your daughter and know that they're safe, you're safe, and you're protected. And then the content inside is important. It's powerful. It's educational. It's inspirational. It's really, really. I'm really proud of our content. What Chris has done with the content, it's just every day I look at it and it's powerful, sir.
That's great to hear.
Amazing.
Well, I think it's a good time for a Waze Energy bourbon break.
For
Dakota, you,
sure.
you want to give us your thoughts on the old fashioned?
Yeah, Handy and Schiller signature cocktail, triple oaked old fashioned. Definitely taste the cherry right off the nose, which is a normal flavor in an old fashioned, but it's very, very sweet. A little too much. I can see that. There's a little bit of the bitters in there, but you can't really taste them too much. I'd like to see a little less cherry, a little more bitters, and a little more bourbon. I think that bourbon flavor was just it's lacking. It's an undertone, and I get what they're doing here. This over ice next to a fire or something, easy peasy. You don't have to make your old fashioned. It's already there. It's sweet, so you're gonna like after a dinner or something. If you're just talking with people, like I can definitely see where this would come into play. But for me, it was just lacking a little bit.
You were to 7.0, and I'm not far off. I'm at a 7.1.
7 point.
Yeah.
Well, I guess since you're 7.1, we'll round up. And we'll say we'll give 7.1 on this. Like I said, if you want a bottle, go to Cheers Beer in Gluckstadt.
Mm-hmm.
To all our listeners, again, I can't say this enough. I think that our youth, it's very important to protect them, and I think that this is a real practical option to do that. So if you're curious about this, please go to their website and check out the plans that they have to offer. And then, of course, I'm sure you can see all the content and things like that they have available. And to all our listeners, however you stream this, if you would give us a rating and follow us on social media, and we will see you next week.
Hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
If you have any feedback or would like to be featured, reach out to us at bourbonandbusinesspodcast@gmail.com.
Or find us on Instagram at Bourbon and Business Podcast.
Thanks again for listening.
Follow us for more content and info on the next episode.